Hi, y'all. Look what I have. I have taken the solar generator to the next level. Literally the next level. I have taken the original solar generator that I built. Let's turn it on. And this solar generator has almost 4 kilowatt hours of capacity, and I have added another battery to it. So it has the same BMS, 120 amp Overkill Solar JBD BMS with Bluetooth. And so on my phone, I can look at each one individually and set all the parameters for them and all of that. It has the same shunt with the same display. It has the same 150 amp A&L fuse. And it has a connector in the bottom of this one and the top of this one that joins together when they stack. What it doesn't have is any way of charging this battery except through this device. So this device has the solar charge controller. It has the internal charging unit that can be plugged into an extension cord, and that can charge up this unit or both units when they're tied together. And it has all the lights. So this gave me almost twice as much capacity, but at a very reasonable price, because these cells are actually reject cells from I'm buying 202 cells for the 2 big battery projects I'm currently working on. And that's 10 cells more than I actually need for that project. It requires 192 cells. I've taken the 4 cells that test the worst and I've put them in here. They're basically freebies. And so, I mean, they cost something, but they're not going to be used. And for this purpose, they're fine because they still have a lot of capacity. So I ordered 280 amp hour cells. They sent me 271 amp hour cells, and some of them, or maybe all of them, are used cells. So these cells actually tested at 262 amp hours. That was the worst testing that happened so far. And they're probably lower than that because they're being tested at 40 amps and the manufacturer tests them at 140 amp drain, which is going to always give you a lower capacity than when you test at a lower rate, a lower discharge rate. So let me show you how this goes together. I have a couple of latches, hold it together, and then on top of this one, I have these spacers and this connector that stabs in when it stacks, and these align the unit, and then the latches hold it in place. So, because I don't have any chargers or anything like that, this isn't going to create a lot of heat. The BMS will create some heat, but not a lot. So I didn't feel I had a need for cooling fans or any of the rest of the things that were required for this big unit. Now, I upped the size of the inverter because I now have twice the throughput capacity with the 2 BMSs. I have 2 120 amp BMSs. That gives me 240 amps of throughput out of these cells. I have 7.5 kilowatt hours of storage capacity, and I have 240 amps of throughput. So I took the 1,000 watt inverter that I used before and I replaced it with this 2,000 watt inverter, which means that in general I'll be running it at a much smaller percentage of its capacity, which is going to be a much better for the unit, better for my comfort level also. But whenever I need that higher capacity because I'm using the big heat gun to melt shrink wrap or whatever, I have it available. Now, also for starting motors, this is going to have a lot easier time. Now I still have the 1000-watt inverter, and my intention is to build a device that will allow me to easily clip this into place on top of here, take another Anderson connector and tie in this inverter easily into this unit, so that if I want to just toss something in the car and go right quick, I can take this smaller unit that's easier to handle. And if 1000 watts is enough, then I'm good to go. When I get ready to charge it back up, I can charge it back up either through this unit, or I have these lugs from the Anderson connector. I can simply take a power supply unit of whichever size I want to use. I have a few available, and I can simply clip them on and charge this unit up that way. This unit turns on here and has the same display running through the same shunt that this unit has, and that's really all it needs in order to give it potential. So now with the two units together, I have options. I have a lot of different ways that I can use this system. And in the situation like we had in February, where we lost power and we had a lot of neighbors that didn't have any power, I have the ability to take power to the neighbor if I need to. I can share this unit with them, and then we can, after these both are depleted, we can turn on the generator and charge them back up while we're doing other things and more efficiently use the time spent with the generator. But I'm kind of excited just the thought of taking this with me in the car when I want to go camping or when I want to go picnicking. I kind of like the idea of being able to take such a small compact unit. This is not any bigger than the commercial units that they sell of the same size and weight, but it has substantially more capacity because it has these large prismatic cells, and it's not forced to have all the charging apparatus and everything else just to be able to take the capacity with you for a day trip or what have you. All right, so what I'm going to do next with this is I'm going to stack it back up. And that's easily done. Latches together. That holds it all together. And then I am testing these cells. Oh, I see that this cell is being charged right now to get ready to be tested next. And it is down to 1 amp. And that is the point at which I turn that off, and I will start charging the next cell. This cell is currently being tested, and it so far has 247 amp hours that it has produced. And so that's going to need another 35, 40 minutes. While that's happening, this cell is going to rest. And so then as soon as this one is finished, I can move this over and start discharging this cell. And then this one will be empty, and I'll take these units that are from this power supply and I'll move them over and start charging this one back up to about the 50% mark so that it's not sitting empty for a long period of time. And that process just continues. But what I'm going to do, as soon as this is finished, I'm going to take all of these components. I'm going to tie them into this 6-way, and I'm going to start using the energy that's in these batteries. I'm going to start using that to do all this testing. This time, when I did the testing before, what I got out of these was only measured by the shunts on these displays. And what I got out of them was I got 3.8 kilowatt hours out of this battery pack, and I got 3.4, almost 3.4 out of this battery pack. So a total of about 7.2 kilowatt hours. But that's not the usable kilowatt hours that I got out of the units, because that's before it ran through this inverter, and this inverter has an inefficiency. So this time I'm going to tie this kilowatt into the inverter and run everything through the kilowatt so that I can find out what the actual usable capacity of this is. And so that's it. That's my tower of power, taking it to the next level. So thank you for your time. If you're still watching, I appreciate it. And I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to this. We're doing good with the channel. It's growing fairly quickly. It's still small, but it's growing fairly quickly. I like the trajectory. And what we're getting is we're getting a lot of people now who are interested in this subject, having it suggested to them. I love the comments. I love the interaction with the people that are doing this type of work, and everything that we're teaching each other together. So stay with me. I've got a couple more videos I'm going to make about this, one with the solar panels that I'm going to be hooking to it, and one with the brutal testing that I intend to do to see how it performs when I'm really pushing it to its limits. I have a lot more videos coming on the battery storage systems. We're going to finish testing and building the battery packs together, and then I'm also going to be wiring up the inverters. I'm going to be building the solar sheds for the two projects. One of the solar sheds is going to also include a garden shed, and it's going to be covered with a whole new set of solar panels that are going to be DC tied into the inverter. So we've got a lot coming up. So stick around. Thank you for joining me. We'll take it easy, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.